The only thing real in this world, the only thing true is right now. 5 seconds ago, we've already got a shaded perspective of what took place. It's not real anymore. No matter what our perspective of is what happened, right now is the only thing we have that's real and true. And so for me to live a limitless life, if we boil it down to the most simplistic, it's about learning to be present in as many of the moments in your life as you possibly can. And then ensure that as you're being present in those moments, that again, they're aligned with the life that you want to be living.
Hello and welcome back to Oracle on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Leah Dunlap, and today I'm here with the amazing Brian Bogert. And what's interesting about Brian Bogert is that he is also known as the Trash Man. Now, I'm going to wait for just a moment to tell you more about that. But as you know, for those of you who've been following us for a moment, we're talking about founders and entrepreneurs. And really the key for this whole entire podcast is to talk about what it takes to live a limitless life of purpose and prosperity. Now, I know you have an incredible journey that you took in your young life, but you're here now. And I would love to know, like, for you, when you took what your experiences were and you looked ahead now, like, what does having a limitless life look like for you?
What's really beautiful about that is the first branding that we ever did was literally called No Limits. So I've answered this question a million times in different ways. To me, living a limitless life isn't that you have no limits. It's that you learn to identify and remove the limits that you've placed on yourself or that the world has placed on you, and to recognize what of those limits are real versus perceived.
Right.
Because I do believe that we can have everything we want in this life. We just can't have it all in the exact same moment.
Exactly.
And so, right, it would be crazy for me, even though I've learned to play sports at a very high level, to think that professional basketball is in my cards, right? Now, I can get on a court and hold my own in recreational stuff, but when I was run over by a truck at 7 and my left arm was torn from my body and I don't have a tricep in my left arm nor full function, I can't play at the level that others can. So you could perceive that as a limit, but that's also not what I'm here to do, nor is it aligned with my values. And I know that I can get to higher levels there than most believe I could anyway.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so I can remove limits. I've removed limits in other things because I learned how to water ski, getting out of the water, holding on with one hand. I had to relearn to ride my bike, tie my shoes with one hand. There's things that I have always had to learn to do differently, but they weren't unnatural for me because I hadn't learned something I had to unlearn.
Oh, great point. Yeah.
I was young enough that though people didn't have the capacity to teach me certain things because they couldn't relate to my physical reality, they would teach me as if I had both arms or try and attempt. So who was going to become my best teacher? Me.
Right.
Which meant I had to know what I was capable of. And that's beyond just physical ability, right? I mean, there's a lot to be said about mental toughness and emotional resiliency. But living a limitless life is, to me, about creating freedom for yourself in every way that you care about.
That part.
Right.
I'm going to pause right there because this is a thing that I think a lot of people, when you say you can live a limitless life, you can have everything you want, people start to say the yeah buts, what I like to call it. Yeah, the yeah buts come in. But the truth of the matter is what you just said is important. It's what you want.
Yeah.
Because I think we aren't imbued with a desire we can't fulfill. And therefore, that's where we become limitless. Because we do stop looking at, as you said, like, maybe you were never meant to be a basketball player. So what? Like so many more things are still available to you.
Yeah.
And so often I think people live inside of the limits, not just because of what other people tell them, but because they're actually limited to what they're even looking at and is available to them because they're not really thinking about the possibility. They're thinking about what's expected or seen around them, right?
And most people have a hard time believing until they see.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's a big disconnect.
Yeah.
So that's often where I recognize the responsibility I carry is that as the trash man, as you called it, I have to be the man and the mirror.
Right.
I have to be the man in the example that I cast, and I have to be the mirror in how I can effectively reflect back their past in the ways that matter.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, Limitless, right? I'm living my ideal life right now. Do I have everything and every goal I've ever accomplished? No, I have life left ahead of me, or at least I hope I do.
Right.
I have enough of everything I need in this moment, but there's tomorrow. But what it also requires for me is it's like I can have a great business. I can be a great father. I can be an amazing husband. I can care deeply about my family. I can invest in my community. I can come have awesome experiences like this where I get to meet new people and share my story and help others. But again, I can't do all that in the exact same moment.
Right.
And so what does it require? It requires us not just to have awareness around those pieces that might limit us, but to recognize even how much we're limiting ourselves by our inability to be present in the experience that we're even in.
That part.
Because presence unlocks everything.
Exactly.
Right? It genuinely, when you're here, the only thing real in this world, the only thing true is right now. 5 seconds ago, we've already got a shaded perspective of what took place. It's not real anymore.
No.
No matter what our perspective of is what happened. Right now is the only thing we have that's real and true. And so for me to live a limitless life, if we boil it down to the most simplistic, it's about learning to be present in as many of the moments in your life as you possibly can. And then ensure that as you're being present in those moments, that again, they're aligned with the life that you want to be living.
Exactly.
Because when that happens, like you can love first, you can surrender, you can accept, you can meet people where they are, you can be objective. You don't have to be judgmental. You don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. You don't have to worry about power and control because you write your own destiny. And I believe all of us have that ability.
What if you could tap into the law of attraction with precision and power on your terms? I'm Leah Dunlap, and in my audiobook, Power Up the Law of Attraction, I give you the no-fluff blueprint to create a life of purpose, prosperity, and peace. Ready to stop manifesting by accident and start creating with intention? Download Power Up the Law of Attraction now on Audible. Now, back to the show.
To be fair to our audience, it's like, let's tie this back into the trash man piece, because I think that that plays a big piece of it too, is to be present in the current moment really reflects back to what your work is about, like literally throwing the trash out.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about how you do that, how you share that with others.
Yeah, so we have pillars that we teach around that we call the ways to wealth, and I'm not going to go through them in detail right now just for the sake of time, but at the end of the day, there are so many moments in our lives that we're unconscious to where we even are in that moment. And, you know, if I look at the moments in my life that I was unconscious of the fact that I was operating from positions of shame and anger, despite so many other exterior measurements being perfect and appearing as if I had this life of significance and all of the above, it still wasn't allowing me to be present. You know, when I was existing in shame and anger, it would dominate my life in a way that I didn't even realize. You know, and what I talk about as it relates to like the trash from our past and wherever we're going, like first and foremost, there is no final destination, only constant evolution of self. Like you don't wake up one day and you've arrived. Because of the trash from our past, the trash is defined as the emotional triggers, behavioral patterns, and environmental conditions that have created a set of beliefs and cellular memory that your life is only further validated.
Right.
Makes it pretty difficult to explain what is possible when your life is reflected back exactly the opposite, right? But it ingrains all of this in us. And so it limits our belief system. I had a thought and it's going to come back to me. I was like right on it.
I'm going to jump on that.
Go, jump.
Because I think I probably interrupted your thought.
You might have. I saw the energy.
We were doing this thing.
I felt it and I was like, come on.
We
come on,
caught it
Leah.
right there. And it is this idea. And like, for me, you know, I've worked with over 30 years, I've worked with, you know, leaders and yes, what really it comes down to is what you're saying, like the being in the moment and being present, but it's the belief of what is possible within yourself and who you really are that most people that I especially have worked with struggle with, no matter what it looks like from the outside. And it's kind of coming back around to this understanding that the core of our beliefs, and I would say the one thing that I noticed, and maybe this is true for you in your work as well, is that oftentimes, you know, I say we have the beliefs we've borrowed. We have the beliefs that we have mistakenly adapted early on as truths. And then we have the beliefs that we kind of build as we go along the way.
Agree.
But underneath all of those is actually true core spiritual beliefs
Correct.
of who we are as humans and why we're here.
Correct.
And so to me, it's like we kind of have to either, I like to say we delete, delegate, automate the other stuff. And we get right down to the core of it.
We do.
But that's how we get most present.
It is. And I think you, by the way, our energetic exchange did come full circle, because that was meant to be said before what I was going to say, because now it's like the reality of it is the only way to get yourself to a present place is to clear out that noise, right? And to clear out and identify the things that no longer serve us.
Right.
And so am I human? Do I still get triggered? Do I still have interactions and arguments with my wife? Do I still have moments of insecurity? Do I still feel the need to defend? Of course I do. But the difference is that until I really did the work, I was spending months and years of my life in that space.
Right.
And then doing the work, it allowed me to become weeks and months.
Yeah.
And then it was days and weeks. And then it was hours and days. And now most of the time, anything that derails me, triggers me, offsets me, lowers my frequency, takes me out of the present moment, it's minutes and moments until I'm back to center.
Yeah. Collapsing
Right?
that time.
Because we
right?
collapse
Yeah.
the time.
Absolutely.
So to my point, it doesn't ever go away, but the less time we spend in it, the more we open up our energy, our time, our resources, our focus, our capacity for all the stuff we want to fill it with.
Right.
Right. And then, yes, it's about how do I center myself to be present? I have a cue that I say, and I talked earlier about the reason these words are on my arm, and I'm dense and I need a visual reminder. So one of the ones I use is to be where my feet are.
Nice.
We were having a conversation on the beginning of the show. So whether or not your feet would be seen on camera or not, shoes, no shoes, mine are always seen. But if I can look down right here and see that I'm sitting right here with you having this conversation, I'm not looking at my phone, I'm not looking at my watch, I'm not worried about what time I'm gonna get out of here. I know that everyone in here knows the timeline, I know the schedule, we're gonna be fine. So why? I have to be here with you.
Right.
The same thing is true when I go and I'm present with my kids. The same thing is true when I go and get on a call with one of my highest level one-on-one coaching clients after this. The same thing is true when I get my quiet time with my wife, because if I can remove all the noise from all those other areas of my life and I can be deeply present, I have the greatest opportunity for connection and the greatest opportunity for impact, all compressed into the current moment.
Right.
Right. And yet that's also how you can make someone feel like they're the only person in the world when you're talking to them.
I was gonna say, and what is it? So many people want to make an impact. If you ask, I'm just gonna make this number up, so don't go judging me and don't go.
Right. I make up numbers all the time. It's
fine.
great.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, let's ask. We
Statistics
ask
are all made up anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I used to work for a statistician, but nonetheless. So like if you asked 100 really top performers, the truth of the matter is that idea of having an impact is key. If it's not the top 3, it's up there. And so it's going back to the idea, like remembering that you already make an impact, full stop, period. And the joy of the work is to decide what kind of impact that's going to be.
In every moment.
In every moment, we have the chance to choose and decide what that impact looks like. And I know you mentioned your kids, and I have a kiddo myself, and it's really fun. But I think part of what you talked about too is we talk about our trash and we talk about the challenges or, the stories or the whatever you want to call them from our past. Tell me the truth. This is true. No bigger mirror than our kids of what that looks like today.
I was just speaking at a fatherhood dinner last night, and that was literally the answer I gave, is that my kids are the best mirror I've ever had.
Right?
They are my greatest counselors, my greatest coaches, my greatest speakers of truth, and my greatest understandings of self have come through being a father. That's not something that's just a gift because you become a parent, though.
Tell me more.
You have to pay attention to it.
Right.
And you have to see it and be willing to look in that mirror, just like we would within ourselves. The issue is that with most parents, right? And this is why so many of us end up also getting these beliefs we've got to unpack later in life, is that they don't look in the mirror. They believe that they're treating the person in front of them when in fact it's themselves they're disciplining. It's themselves they're angry at. It's themselves that they're screaming at. Now, I'm a dad well enough to know that there are times that both my kids piss me the fuck off completely on their own that have nothing to do with me.
Right.
They're getting to the age of choice that I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
A whole human being is in
However, those are an area for addressing behavior, discipline, and choices. It's not me layering my expectations of self onto them.
Right.
My son, he's a big energy. He's loud. He doesn't stop talking.
I'm like, Well, yes. Right.
But he's also the quickest person that can put me on sensory overload.
Right. I mean, that's the beauty of it,
Right?
isn't it? That's the beauty of that.
And
Like, I
so
think that's the work.
it's something that he and I still actively work on because there are disconnects, because there's also a lot of things he and I never have to communicate about and we just understand.
Yeah, but how beautiful it is that is how it's orchestrated.
Yeah.
That's when I look at the world and like the quantum level beauty that we are living in and say, look at that.
Yeah.
How masterful is it to create another being that is going to reflect back to you, not only your work, but the path you've gone down, and give you the opportunity to sit with that, hold it and honor it, not only as an external, but as that internal healing that it happens to be.
It is a gift.
Such a gift.
And yet there's also other nuances to that same gift, because with all of that, we still have to separate and remind ourselves that they are their own humans.
That part.
And even as the reflection, that our reflection of ourselves cannot, and I don't use the word should often because should's a shame-based word and implies whoever you are, what are you doing, but I'm going to say cannot and should not be how you define your child.
Exactly.
Right. And then the ability to communicate and the nuance of all of that, because they're our greatest teachers if we allow ourselves to see that. But, you know, both of my kids as well are getting to a place where we've laid a lot of really positive foundation that's also making them very difficult to parent.
Right? You built them up so well.
No, I'm
Good on
serious.
you.
My kids don't like, they will go to battle. They will outwit, they will
It's
negotiate.
so true.
And most people other than me and occasionally their mom, they get exactly what they want from whomever they want. And I don't, but yeah, that's an area too. I react because my parents were like, don't go ask for stuff.
Yeah.
Why? If they ask and they get,
so
why
true.
would I want to shut that off? There are too many people who don't even know how to ask.
No, my husband's the son are the same way. My son is so funny because I look at him and I think, oh my gosh, I created this. And I'm so grateful because you're right. He is such a manifester. If he says he wants something, it's going to happen. Yeah. And I laugh because my husband's like, well, he's not going to. I'm like, he absolutely will. I don't know how, I don't know why, but he calls me the tree hugger, and he happens to be like in all his army stuff. So he tries to tell me about it. And I said one day, I said, listen to me. I said, you're right. I don't agree with it. I don't believe in it, but you do. Mm-hmm. And it matters to you, so it matters to me. Mm-hmm. So you can tell me whatever you want. I may never understand it.
That's how.
But the reality of it is, I want you to love what you love so much. Yeah. Like that's what I'm all about. I'm all about you being on purpose. So if this is your purpose and this is where you're going, I'm all for it.
We teach our kids to reason and make decisions, right? Yeah. And to know that. I mean, that was one of the things we focus on as parents. Like we want our kids to know they would be loved unconditionally, no matter what. We wanted them to know their value and to know how to advocate for themselves. Because if they can love unconditionally, be loved unconditionally, and advocate for themselves, they can do that for others.
Absolutely.
And they already are, and they already do. But it definitely bites us though, because with advocacy also comes like
the challenge.
Because they challenge everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've told you the same thing 17 times. Why are we still talking about this?
Yeah. And as a coach, when he uses coaching language back at me,
Totally.
I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My son did that not long ago. Dad, I'm perfectly calm and regulated.
Yeah.
I don't know what this energy is that's coming out, but why don't we talk about it for a second before we move forward? And I was like,
my son will walk away and he'll say,
you're right, buddy.
I've decided I've got some things I want to tell you, and I think you should listen to me before you answer. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, great. Thanks.
So good.
But I think that's it, right? Like to me, like when we talk about living a limitless life, it isn't about everything working out all the time. It is about being present. It is about being engaged in this thing that is so freaking amazing that we get to be a part of. So tell me now, as you're kind of looking at your life, what do you see in, let's say, 50 years? When you look back at what you're creating, what you're making, what you're building, what you're doing in the world, what do you want to look back and say, that was the thing that I'm so glad I did that?
There are so many ways that I could answer this question. I want my kids to always know that they were my first priority. And I try to show that in every way I can today, right? Like I don't care who I'm talking to. If I'm in my office at home and on a Zoom, I've got a detached casita. It's beautiful, great separation. But if one of my kids walks in, I don't care who I'm talking to. Sometimes I'll give them one of these, so it's obvious that I'm talking to somebody for just a second, but inevitably once the thought is complete, my focus shifts to my children.
Right.
And if there's nothing important happening or we're in the middle of a sentence, more often than not, I will say, my kid just walked in. And then I turn and I talk to my kid. And they'll come over and they'll give me a hug. And they'll do those things because the most valuable thing we can give people is our presence and our attention. And I don't want my kids to ever feel like they have to compete for it from me. And they have, and they will, and they do.
Right.
However, I try to create enough moments that that's not their truth, that they'll be able to remember that.
I think that's so beautiful. And I think that that's such a important part of our generation right now, that we are healing. And I was telling someone earlier, we have to look at the fact that I saw somewhere that it said, what we're doing now, sometimes when we get stuck, is we're trying to have those people whose, old patterns we're trying to break approve of our new way of being.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a gift to look at what you're saying for yourself and go, 50 years from now, at least, this one thing that I can make sure that I am active in doing now. Because I think acting in the moment is what you can do. We can't change what we did 5 minutes ago. We can't change what we'll do necessarily 50 years from now. But right now we can be in that moment of making that change impactful.
It's true. And I mean, here's the reality. I teach and give lots of talks on the concept of change, right? And resiliency. And at the end of the day, I believe that we can choose the change we want, or we can choose to change when we don't want change. Those are our really only choices, because change is guaranteed and it's a variable that we can't control. We can influence the change that we want to create, though, when we know or anticipate that something's not in alignment, or we sense a change coming that we don't want. We can do that, but it comes down to the power of choice.
Yeah, choosing.
And realizing that putting ourselves in that position can only be done with our choice. And so I'm one of those that I want to have as much influence, power, and control in my life as possible. And the only way I can do that is through the choices that I make and the actions that I take as a result of them.
Choices, yeah.
That's what communicates to people.
Absolutely.
It's not our intent. It's not our desire. No. It's not our heart. It's not what we tell them we want. It's what our actions and behaviors communicate.
I love it. All right. Well, I can't believe we're almost done, but I want to make sure everybody knows exactly how to get hold of our friend, the Trash Man, Brian Bogert. Yogurt. I just called you Yogurt.
Dude, I love it.
I did it.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, go ahead and tell them how to find out more.
I say Bogert like yogurt, so you'll never forget it. But here's the thing. It's spelled differently. So it's Bogert with an E, brianbogert.com, or you can go to Bogert Brian on any channel. At the end of the day, all of us have the possibility to live a limitless life. You're the one who has to choose which limits were placed upon you, which limits you placed upon yourself, so that you can live the life you want, not the life you've been told you want to live.
There it is. All right. Well, with those fine words, thank you so much, Brian, for being here. I can't believe I got the chance to finally talk to you. And for all of you watching, make sure that you come on back, subscribe, so you'll find out more about these great informational and inspirational guests that we have coming up. I'm Leah Dunlap, and this is the Oracle on Purpose podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.